Hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you in the today's top PIB news session on EduTap, in which we are going to discuss a very important report which was released recently, that is the State of Inequality in India report, which is really very important from the RBI Grade B as well as NABARD Grade A exam point of view. So guys, we are going to discuss this report in a very holistic manner. So here you can see that from the headline of the PIB that the State of the Inequality in India report has been recently released. So I would like to tell you that this report was basically released by Dr. Bibek Debroy, the chairman to the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India. So guys, whenever we talk about any report, we always tell you that you are required to cover that report across various dimensions, that what was the releasing body, what was the framework for that particular report, as well as what are the key findings from this particular report. So guys, when we talk about the State of Inequality in India report, this report basically tells us, it provides us the analysis of the depth and nature of inequality in India. So basically it find out the inequities across various sectors, for example health, education, labor market, as well as sanitation and other important things. So okay, these are the important sectors across which this particular report determines the inequality in India. So when we talk about this particular report, the very first dimension is that what exactly was the releasing body. So guys, basically this particular report has been released by the Institute for Competitiveness. Okay, ji? So this report basically comprises of two parts, that is economic facets and the socio-economic manifestations. And this report basically, as I already told you, that determines equities across 5 different key areas that influences the nature and experience of inequality in India. And these 5 areas are income profiles, labor market dynamics, health, education and household characteristics. So this is a very important point that you are required to remember from the exam point of view, the key areas that influences the nature as well as the experience of inequality in India. And we are going to discuss all the important key findings around these 5 key areas, that is income profile, labor market dynamics, health, education as well as household characteristics. So now moving on to the key findings of this particular report, we will first of all discuss the income profile. So guys, as per this particular report, this report says that the wealth concentration as well as the measure of inequality does not reveal the changes in the purchasing capacity of households. So this is one of the very important key finding from this particular report. As you can see here, when we extrapolate this particular data from the PLFS survey 2019-2020, this report says that the people who are earning 25,000 per month, that means rupees 3 lakh early, are basically amongst the top 10% of the total wages earned. So here you can see that how this kind of disparity in the income structure basically moves people towards different kind of poverty. And guys, apart from that, this also shows the inequality in the income profile of the people which are basically employed in our country. Apart from that, this particular report also says that the share of the person, basically the top 1% earns 6 to 7% of the total income. Apart from that, top 10% earners accounts for 30 to 35% of the total income across our country. And this also shows that what kind of disparity, what kind of income inequality is present in our country. And these are the key important findings, the numbers that you are really required to remember from the exam point of view. Now moving on to the next important dimension, that is the labor market dynamics. So in this particular part, this particular report states that among different employment categories, the highest percentage was basically of the self-employed workers, which was 45.78%, followed by the regular workers with the 33.5%, and followed by the casual workers with 20.7%. See, in the exam, this kind of a question can easily be framed on these lines, that basically which employment category the highest percentage was as per the India State of the Inequality report that was released recently. So guys, from here you are really required to remember all these kind of figures as well as these categories which was basically having the highest percentage of workers employing there. Okay, I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. Now apart from that, this report also tells us about the unemployment rate in India, which was basically 4.8 in 2019-2020, and when we talk about the worker population ratio in India, then it was 46.8%. Once again, a very important dimensions that you are required to remember, the very important finding from this particular report across the area of labor market dynamics that is required to be remembered from the exam point of view. Now guys, when we talk about the health, see, whenever we talk about the health, this particular report says that there was a considerable improvement in the health infrastructure, and this was basically due to the infrastructure advancement in our India, in the country, basically due to the social sector schemes which has been implemented in India. So when we talk about the total health centers in India, this particular report says that it was basically 1.72 lakhs in 2005, which increased to 1.85 lakhs in 2020, which basically shows increase in the numbers in the total health centers in our country from 2005 to 2020. And these are the list of states which are basically having, which have shown a significant increase in the total health centers in our India in the past 15 years as per the timeline that has been shown by this particular report, that is from 2005 to 2020. Apart from that, this particular report also says that the women which are receiving the antenatal checkups in the first trimester, it has also basically increased, as I have already discussed that during the NFHS 5 report which was being taken recently in the PIB session. Here once again I want to repeat this point that it was 58.6%, that is women which are receiving the antenatal checkups in the first trimester has basically increased from 58.6% to 70% from 2015-16 to 2019-2021. Apart from that, when we talk about the postnatal care, so basically 78% of the women received the care from the doctor. Apart from that, when we talk about the children, basically 79.1% of the children received postnatal care within 2 days of the delivery. One such point which is really very important from the exam point of view. Apart from that, this report also defines some other areas of concern for the government of India, basically on the basis of the nutrition deprivation. So guys, apart from that, here you can see that these are the basically areas where the government of India is really required to work on, that is overweight, underweight and prevalence of anemia, basically in the adolescent girls, children as well as pregnant women. So these are the three important areas of concern that on which government of India is really required to work on. Okay, ji. Now when we talk about the next important area, that is education. So here once again this particular report says that there was improvement was being seen due to the targeted efforts through several social protection schemes which are being launched by the government of India. And here you can see that as per the report, the gross enrollment ratio has increased from 2018-19 to 2019-2020 across different levels, that is primary, upper primary, secondary, higher secondary. Apart from that, when we talk about the functional toilet facilities in the schools, so it was basically found to be 95% of the schools are having functional toilet facilities. And when we talk about the functional boys toilets, then it was basically in 95.9% schools. And when we talk about the girls toilets, it was basically 96.9% schools. But here the most important term is the number is 95% of the schools were having functional toilet facilities on the school premises. So these are the important points that you are required to remember from the exam point of view. Now guys, apart from that, see, when we talk about the functional electricity connections, so it was found to be 80.16% of the schools are having functional electricity connections. And when we talk about the states which are having the 100% coverage of functional electricity connections, here the whole list of these states are being mentioned here. You can go through them for your own. Now guys, let's move on to the next important area, that is household characteristics. So in the household characteristics, here you can see that there was emphasis on providing access to the sanitation and safe drinking water. And this report also tells us about various data from the NFHS 5 once again, that the households with the electricity access were basically 97%, 70% of the households were having improved access to the sanitation, then 96% of the households were having access to the safe drinking water. So these three values are once again a very important part. So guys, as you can see that this is a very data heavy report, but here all these points are really very important, and this particular report has been released in the month of May 2022, and that's why it becomes really very important from the exam point of view. Apart from that, this report also gives us some recommendations in order to improve the the findings from these particular areas and to reduce the inequities across the sectors across which we have discussed the key findings. Okay. So now when we talk about the recommendations, this report basically recommends on creating income slabs that provides class information, establishing universal basic income, creating jobs especially among the higher levels of education, and increasing in the budget for social protection schemes. So these are the recommendations from this particular report. So that was all from the today's session. So guys, now this is a time of a practice question in which you are required to tell me the correct statement in relation with the State of the Inequality in India report 2022, which was released recently. And guys, as per our discussion, what you are required to do, you are just required to identify the correct statement, and for that I have already told you the approach that you are required to apply, that is focusing on the keywords. So when you will be focusing on the keywords, you will identify that all these statements which are mentioned above are absolutely correct in relation with the State of Inequality in India report 2022. So now when we talk about the homework question from the last session, the question was basically with which of the following institutions MSDE has basically signed agreement. So guys, this was basically Indian School of Business. That was the right answer. And here is the list of our star performers from the last session. Okay, ji? And if you also want a name to be mentioned here as a star performer in the upcoming session, then guys, you are required to answer this question which is present here. See, recently the 7th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of New Development Bank was held. So you are required to tell me that this particular meeting was chaired by whom. So here 5 options are being mentioned here. You can just go through them and tell me the right answer in the comment section, and I will be giving out your names as a star performer in my upcoming session. And guys, if you have still not subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates of the courses and videos offered by us. And you can also join our Telegram channel to get the access to the PDF of the sessions. To join the Telegram channel, kindly click on the link given in the description below. So guys, that was all from the today's session. I really believe that this session was useful and fruitful to all of you. If you are having any queries, kindly drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, and you can also call us at 814-620-7241. So guys, thank you for joining us. Wish you all happy learning.